And we're live. Good evening, whiskey brothers and sisters, and welcome to episode 10 of the Canadian Whisky Journey's Whiskey Review. I'm Dolph. I'll be your host tonight, and I'm joined by Blair, Phillips, and Davin de Kergommeaux, co-authors to this book right here, The Definitive Guide to Canadian Distilleries, the portable expert to over 200 distilleries, and the spirits they make. Fantastic book, and you should buy it. We are continuing our Canadian Whisky Journey tonight with the review of Douglas, a beautiful man, semicolon. And I don't do this often, as I believe you should go to the article itself. And here's the article. It's on CanadianDistilleries.com. Here's the article itself. And there's the whiskey. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to quote the introduction. And let's put this up here so everyone gets to see it. So, ready? He was a beautiful man. J. Wheelock was a kind and generous soul, grateful for every opportunity to share his love of whiskey with others. He was admired and respected throughout Canada's whiskey world. So when Jay died unexpectedly in 2020, Canadian whiskeydom went into shock. And I can attest to that. It was quite a shock. It's not surprising that another kind and generous whiskey soul, Grant Stevely of Dubh Glas Distillery, has chosen to quietly honor Jay's memory with a commemorative bottling named A Beautiful Man, semicolon. The release is a fitting tribute made in the same understated manner both he and Jay assume. So great introduction, gentlemen. But Blair, do you want to add a little bit of background to this story and how Stevely of Dubh Glas created the whiskey, got the wood, got the idea? Up for that? If we go back a few weeks ago, we were talking about Odd Society Storm whiskey and how there's a little bit of a single malt blend into that whiskey that had a significance with Deval Gandhi from he was with sorry, help me out here.
McAllen. He was with McAllen, now he's with Lakes.
Yeah, Lakes Distillery. He did a blending class with a bunch of distillers in BC, and Stevely was one of those guys that went up to the blending class, and he just got fired up from it, really inspired. And what happened was, I'm going to guess maybe a couple of years ago or so, maybe 3 years ago, Jay Wheelock called him up, and he was working with Glenn Glasso at the time, and he had these octave barrels. And asked Steve if he wanted to, or Stevely, sorry, if he wanted to fill them with his whiskey. And what these octave barrels are, they take these 200-liter ex-bourbon casks and break them down and build these smaller casks that are about 1/8 the size of a standard ex-bourbon barrel. Yeah. So Dubh Glas had one release. They released one cask a while ago, I guess, or not too long ago. And of course, it sold out instantly because of the volume that it produced. And from this blending class and inspired by Jay, he decided to take a couple of his other octave barrels, blend it down with one of his own malts from, actually, they're all his own malts. But he decided to blend it with one of his own barrels that he crafted from taking barrels and shrinking them down to a 100-liter barrel. And this is the result, this fine whiskey.
It's kind of cool. 100-liter and a couple of J's at, I think you say 46-liter in the article. So it's kind of a neat size. And we talked about, I usually say 50, but yours was more precise. 46-liter is good. It's perfect.
Now, don't trust my math. Don't trust Davin's math.
Okay. I'm a math teacher, but if I read 46, I'm quoting you. And if you're wrong, it's on your shoulders. It's all good.
There you go. Yeah.
Davin, do you want to add something about Jay? Because this is commemorating Jay, and we talked about Jay off camera last week quite a bit. So do you want to throw your 2 cents in here?
Yeah, I've known Jay for as long as I've been doing, Canadian whiskey. He was the Pendleton rep when I first met him. He was selling Pendleton, and I remember I did a review of Pendleton whiskey, and it was getting 10,000 views a day on this for a while. And I sent a note to Jay and said, you better get more stock because something's happening with Pendleton. And that's kind of how our friendship started. And we just kept in touch. In Calgary, he came and picked me up, and we went out to his house and had a few drams with Kate and the dogs. And just a really fine human being. A really kind man. Everybody loved him. His favorite saying when he was talking to someone was to tell them how awesome they are.
Yes.
And it was really,
you feel good.
Yeah. So he really made a big impression on everybody, and everybody loved him. And it was really sad to lose Jay and to lose him so suddenly. And Kate is still not over. Well, not saying that she ever will be, but it was kind of sad because they were about to move out to Vancouver Island and sort of head into a more restful period of life. Not saying retiring, but and suddenly,
I don't know if Jay was going to be restful. No matter what, he was peddling this luscious liquid. And here's a picture of the guy too. There he is.
Yeah,
a good-looking guy. He's happy.
Yeah,
he was a natural in front of people too. I loved it.
Yeah.
And anytime we were at a tasting, or one of the big tastings you go around, I'd usually see him first, but I'd eventually end up back at his table no matter what. I'd be back there just because I enjoyed his company. And I tasted everything that he'd had, and probably several times I'd still make it back to him just to talk to him. So gentlemen, let's have some whiskey. Let's have some of this. And a little bit of info. So 750 mils, 44.2%. Blair could tell you a bit about that in a second, as well as the semicolon comment, if you can, because it's a beautiful man's semicolon. And so 44.2, again, 100 liter ex-bourbon barrel, and mixed with 2 of Jay's 46 liter octave barrels, but still with Steve Lee's juice in there, and sold out. I'm sorry, you're not going to get any of this, but it sold out roughly $80. If you ever want stuff, you have to follow Douglas or Grant Stevely on Instagram, Facebook, or get on their mailing list. That's when you're going to hear about it, because they do sell out fairly quick.
Yeah, get on the mailing list.
Yeah. So Blair, semicolon?
Yeah, he had a tattoo. Yeah, he had a tattoo behind his ear of a semicolon, and that's another Steve Lee Easter egg where he just kept finding ways of honoring him and having a tribute. And it's kind of interesting that the 44.2, Steve Lee he loves his cask strength whiskey, but at the same time, when he releases like if he blends a couple casks together and he proofs them down, he usually shoots for the 46% mark, and he kind of got the math wrong this time, and it was 44.2 when he did the calculation. But he thought, you know what, it's a unique proof, so man, just keep it.
All right.
And I think it makes it very drinkable too.
Oh, it is. And well, people talk about summer drams. This is kind of a quintessential summer. Spring, as soon as the sun stays out, and it is for us until 7:30 right now, with the time going ahead. So it feels appropriate to have this tonight. But
it's like a lowland Scotch.
Pinned down the nose.
Yeah, it reminds me of a lowland Scotch, a Little Mill, something like that. It's really it's a soft dram.
It is.
But so it's not going to kick you in the face, but it's really got a lot of flavor in there.
I found myself, the bottle I had, I was definitely hitting it like a ketchup bottle, getting every single last drop out of it because I love it.
Out. So I got wood on it at first, but it was wood with something. And about 20 minutes later, I got, and I don't know if either of you gentlemen got this, pledge on wood. So I'm going back to my grandmother's house, and I'd visit her on Sunday, and the smell of citrus pledged the lemon and wood, because her house was all wood. That's the smell that I finally figured out. It took about a half an hour last night of smelling this, just getting to get it. So that's what I get at the end after a little bit of time. So I don't know if you get anything like that. Maybe citrus, maybe wood, but I put it together.
I definitely get the lemon candies off this.
Okay.
That was the first thing that hit me when Davin and I were passing the notes back and forth and shaping the article. I got the lemon. When you say pledge, I can relate to that.
You get it? Okay.
But I wouldn't use this to clean anything. I would just stick to drinking it. It's
good for cleaning your tonsils.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, in these COVID times, we got to kill those germs every time we can. Every chance. Oh, and great mouthfeel. It feels fantastic again. And again, I won't say the difference between creamy and oily, but let's say one of the two for this. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's creamy.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? And I did this. I had some cream upstairs, and I took some olive oil, did this, and dipped it in cream. It's the same feeling on my fingers. I don't know about the tongue. Maybe I have to put it in the tongue and see the difference. I don't usually like dripping oil. Well, maybe with bread, you have the bread, you dip in oil. Maybe I'll try that and see if I could finally figure out the difference, Davin. And then you'll respect me a bit more.
Oh, I respect you already, dog.
Or maybe not. That's what maybe not. Oh. What else we get on the palate there, gentlemen? I get fruity on the palate.
Yeah.
I get pear and apricot.
Oh, apricot.
I do. Those I've got the little dried apricot things. That's what I'm getting.
I didn't get this
flavor.
Originally when Davin was talking about the herbal notes, and he said like a slight licorice note, and as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, there it is.
Yours licorice. Mine's a type of candy as well that I'm getting, and it's two kind of unique ones. But what's your sweetness? When you're tasting the sweetness here, what's it remind you of? Do you have anything coming to mind? Because I generally do. Is it caramel? Is it butterscotch? Or is it honey? Those are kind of the three sweets. But it's also the powdered sugar, and this is
powdered
sugar one.
It's fruitier,
yeah. But this is what I got. So this is what I thought at first. You ever have the little rockets when you went trick-or-treating? So it tasted like the rockets. So it's the powder with the fruit that you just said, Davin. But then I was tasting it more last night, and it came to me either in a drunken stupor or after. Well, I only had one drink, so let's say it's not a drunken stupor. It was the little marshmallows, the colorful mini marshmallows. That's the flavor that came to me. So I came up with lemon pledge and the mini marshmallows. That's my taste profile for this. But all in a good way. It's all fantastic.
I remember as a kid making fudge for my parents while they were out, surprised them when they came home, and I flavored it with lemon oil, which was lemon furniture polish.
I'm sure they appreciated it.
They were very kind parents.
Oh, nice. Good.
But they didn't need it.
When the kids
They didn't need it, and they didn't let me either.
Okay. I was going to say they forced it down and then told you 5 years later.
No.
Never use this again.
They told me that was better for cleaning furniture. But,
Blair, how about the finish for you?
It's I really like the way it flares up and calms down pretty quickly, and it's just like a soft, woody vanilla note to it as well. A bit of grain.
Do you agree with me that this really fits the profile of a lowland Scotch? I'm thinking Little Mill, but maybe more a Rosebank. You know, it's really got that softness that, you know, it doesn't, you know, kind of kick you in the face, but it's got all these lovely little layers in there, and none of them are bold. They're all subtle, but they're layered in there. And you know, I mean, we're finding a lot of fruity notes in there, but there's some floral notes as well, particularly in the beginning.
And you're saying on the nose more than the palate for the floral, or are you saying floral on the palate too? Because I'm more fruit palate.
Yeah, I'm saying okay. It's more floral, but it's fruity on the nose as well. Yeah.
Okay.
No, there's a lot going on, and you could spend hours dissecting this if you could restrain yourself from finishing it, you could spend a lot of time with this whiskey.
Yeah, the 44 goes down quickly. Yeah. And for a finish, I just said heat to sweet. So you get the initial heat and then sweet right away. And so
I liked Steve Lee's description. A beautiful day, a beautiful man, a beautiful dram.
There you go.
I think that captures it beautifully.
Well, and you know what? Let's finish with that. That's what we'll finish with this kind day. So thank you, everybody. And you want to say that quote one last time as I do this?
from Grant Stevely, Dubh Glas Distillery. A beautiful day, a beautiful man, a beautiful dram. And he's absolutely right.
We bid you adieu tonight, and thank you very much, everybody. And here's to Stevely, and here is to
Jay.
The beautiful man, to Jay. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a fantastic night, everybody. We'll see you next week.